ASHB's quarterly Smart Building Council webinar meeting. My name is Marta Klopotowska, and I am the Programs and Communications Manager here at ASHB. I'll be emceeing the slides today. Please note that today's webinar meeting is being recorded, and we will circulate those for those who are registered, including those who are present here today, along with the presentation slides. A quick look at today's agenda. We will go over some administrative tasks, call to order, welcome, introductions, approval of the minutes from the last webinar meeting. We will also have a quick research update on some of the projects that are taking place here at ASHB. And then, of course, I think what most of you are here for today, we will have a panel discussion titled Winning Mindshare with Mechanical Engineers and Consultants in Building Controls with panel members Marc Petoc and Terry Swope from Lynxspring, Christopher Larry from EXP US Services, Jacob Jackson from Aptitude Intelligent Integration, Ed Merwin from Tridium, and Troy Windom from Chinook Systems. And then shortly after, we'll just go over a couple of ASHB's programs, things that are happening here, our podcasts, white papers, research library, and our journal. And then we can address any new business that anyone would like to bring up. And then, of course, we'll just get into some last minute announcements, events that are taking place. And then lastly, the adjournment. Mr. Lane, I'll go ahead and pass it off to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to act as chairman today in the absence of our chairman, Bob Allen. My name is Robert Lane, and I've been a member of this organization, I guess, since its very founding in 1988. I'd like to introduce your group that kind of runs this organization. Bob Allen is your chairman. Harash is from Honeywell and has been a long time vice chairman. And Chris Larry, I believe you're on the call today. And Harash, are you on the call today?
Yes, I am. Thanks.
Okay. And so therefore, I'd just like to introduce a little bit about the ASHB Smart Building Council. It was established in 2001, and we focus on large buildings and the automated industry throughout cutting-edge technology. The council kind of meets quarterly and reviews opportunities and strategies, oversees the initiatives related to system integration and automation in large buildings. Our projects aim to foster the next generation of smart buildings. I guess for many of us who've been in the industry, we've been talking smart buildings for at least the last 30 years. So therefore, I'd like to go to the first item of administration. It's the approval of the past minutes. I'm not going to call for thing they're shown on our website at www.ashbcom.sbc. The minutes and the notes from the December 20th meeting are available on our website. I will consider that they're approved unless there's any objections. Are there any objections to approving the minutes as they are posted right now? Well, therefore, the minutes are approved by consensus, and if objections are raised, you can send them in to the ASHB staff after the meeting. So Greg, I guess it's over to you, and you're going to talk about the latest of the research update.
Thanks, Robert. So just before our panel, I'll just go over some of the research that we're doing here at ASHB. We finished off a research project on smart building trends and technology adoption in 2025. This project had 16 funders, and it looked at 300 commercial buildings, building owners and operators throughout North America, primarily in the US and a little bit of Canada. It looked at topics like cloud-based management systems, the software landscape in smart buildings, sustainability and energy management, some digital twins. Obviously, AI was a component of this research as well, and looked at some of the monetization models of smart buildings. We did the final webinar in November and had it's about an $80,000 research project, and the executive summary was released to our membership, I believe in December. So we're continuing this project on in 2026. Those that are familiar with our previous model, we're continuing on with this this building trends and technology adoption project from year to year now, and we've been doing annual research projects for about I guess 25 years or so. If you're interested in getting involved in this research and getting the full access to the research only available to the funders, feel free to reach out to Marta, myself, or anyone at ASHB, and we can have a conversation. And so we're looking to, these are some of the most likely the funders will be on for the 2026 as we're starting the project, and we're doing it again with Harbor Research. If we can go to the next slide. This one's an annual research project through the Smart Building Council and ASHB on building automation control systems in North America, where companies are sharing their market data and with ASHB, and we're working with BISRIA, and we're anonymizing it and sharing the aggregate total out to the group, so they can determine their market share of controls in the North American market. It was originally brought forward from Siemens in the need to have accurate market data in North America, and we just completed the 5th year of the project, and we're looking to start another version for 3 more years, so until 2028, and with likely the same participants and potentially more. If you're a controls manufacturer and interested in getting involved in this research, please reach out. If we can go to the next slide. Along the same lines with the building automation control systems, we're looking to expand one into the European market. We're in the project in the process of scoping the research and some of the definitions in some of the countries, and getting and actively reaching out to potential funders for this particular project. So we're looking to start this for another 3 years, similar to the one in North America, and we're looking forward to starting this, I guess Q1 or Q2 in 2026. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out, and we can have a discussion. Are there any questions regarding any of these projects? If you do, you can feel free to reach out at walker@ashb.com, or reach out to Marta, and back to you, Robert.
Okay, that's great. At this point, I guess, Harasa, will you introduce the panel discussion?
Morning, afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our ASHB Smart Building Committee panel discussion. Today's session is titled Winning Mindshare with Mechanical Engineers and Consultants in Building Controls. Mechanical engineers and consulting firms play a critical role in shaping building automation specifications, yet they are often engaged too late or with messaging that doesn't align with their priorities. To explore how control system providers can better connect with this influential audience, we have brought together leaders and engineering practitioners from Lynxspring, Aptitude Intelligent Integration, Tridium, EXP US Services, and Chinook Systems. We have 45 to 50 minutes for discussion, followed by 15 minutes of Q&A. So please hold your questions until the end. With that, I would like to introduce our moderator for today's session, Marc Petoc, and hand things over to him to lead the conversation. Over to you, Marc.
Thank you. Greatly appreciate it. And I thought a couple quick thank yous, and then we're going to just jump right in since we've all of us have been introduced. So first of all, thank you to ASHB. We greatly appreciate this opportunity, and we have been looking forward to this for quite a while. And special shout out to Chris Larry for arranging this, and would not be successful or happen without Marta for putting this all together, and greatly appreciate it. During the course of our conversation, we are going to run a few poll questions. So we would hopefully would appreciate you guys to contribute to the poll questions. And I think we've got some really good poll questions. So this is an open discussion. I will be leading off with some questions. Some questions will go through the entire panel, get their thoughts and comments and opinions. Others, we may only ask a question to one person or two people. We've got a lot more questions than we do time. So we're jumping in. So let's go with the first question is, how have you seen specifications change today versus 3 to 5 years ago? And Chris, I'm going to put you on the spot first, since you got us all here. You're up.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the way things have changed, and I think we see this all over the market. There's less face-to-face interaction, and more through the computer and through the internet and through emails and things like that. And in my opinion, I think that's a detriment to the society and to our industry. I think having face-to-face and having the relationships are really the key to building good projects. And I think you can see that in a lot of the projects that are being built now. They're maybe a little bit less coordinated and not really communicating as well. But we do a good job with what we have, and I think you see a lot of benefit from the work we do.
Thanks. Ed, how have you seen specifying change today versus 3, 5 years ago?
Well, I mean, certainly the face-to-face is something that I relished and enjoyed over my entire career, is creating those relationships and working closely to get great projects out there. That it's not as easy today. As you say, it's a lot of it's being done over team meetings or frankly, mostly over emails back and forth. In some instances, I'm seeing better quality. I think a lot of the industry is trying to support the community. I think it's super important that we do that. But again, there's just not enough people to go around to call on consultants anymore. Although I think it's certainly very important. We owe it, as a vendor, I will say we owe it to the community to support the engineering and design community. Things are changing so fast with cyber and AI and everything else. It's very difficult, obviously, for people to keep up. So it's kind of incumbent on us to work together to do that. And again, I would like to see more face-to-face. I would love to see a specifying show or some sort of meetings that just really worked on specifiers. We go to ASHB, but I don't know if there's enough emphasis at ASHB where we'll just have a lot of specifiers in the room and really find out what their needs are and take those back and try to make it easier. So
great, thanks, appreciate it. Troy, how about yourself?
I have found that I kind of agree with Ed on this thing. There's a lot of the engineering firms are supporting, but it's growing so fast that trying to coordinate, Chris mentioned it, coordinating everything, because, back when most of us on this panel started, controls was a mechanical thing. And now you have mechanical, you got electrical, you have smart plumbing stuff, you have, as mentioned, cybersecurity, and a whole separate spec sections for the front ends of projects, and just trying to coordinate all of that. And I think the whole getting in front of the design firm, whoever it may be, is important, and trying to teach younger people coming into the industry how important that is, because most of the people graduating college now are 4 or 5 years out of college. They didn't grow up with that. They grew up during COVID time. They didn't, their communications via that smartphone that's in their hand, and getting out there and building those relationships is very important for success of any project, I think.
Terry, you grew up as a MEP in this industry. What's your thoughts about today versus back in the day?
My caveat is that I sold my engineering firm 25 years ago. But yeah, I agree with everybody, especially, well, all of them. Ed, you're right. We need, in my days, electromechanical controls, and then we went to pneumatics and then DDC and now open control solutions. And are they really open? I'm sure that's going to come up. Yes, it's changed drastically, Mark, over the years. Originally we were only concerned with our 3 disciplines and making sure we were coordinated with structural and site engineers. Today, there's so much more bearing. It's always going to be heavy on, is our specifications solid when it comes to liability in this litigious society that we work in today? And what's it take to educate the mechanical or in the consulting firms? And the old handshake and reps coming through the door and feeding us, that's changed. And I think we got to get back to it, because it's that communication that gets it's so diverse to be an engineer, right? And so it has to change. But the challenges are cybersecurity, AI. Where's that fit in? What's the liability with AI? I mean, and so there's a lot of things that are changing, not necessarily for the good. However, I'm very encouraged. Just in the last, I'm going to say, year to 18 months, I've seen more hunger from the consulting engineering firms that we have been working with a concerted effort to reach out to them, get to know them, and they're much more accessible than they were for, say, 3 to 5 years ago. So I'm encouraged that they're wanting to learn. Now, are we all on the same page? That's the next hurdle. But yeah, it's changed drastically over the years. Unfortunately, we see specifications that haven't changed, and therein lies the problem, especially when it comes to getting these buildings built.
Okay. Jacob, how about yourself? Are you muted, Jacob? Well, Jacob, if you can hear us, we can't hear you. So we're going to move on and we'll come back. So one of the things, I'll just give a 2 quick second thing. I think part of the challenge for all of us in our industry is time, person's time. And I'll just kind of leave it at that. So let's go back. Let's start with Troy, you on this one. What are the drivers, or what are you seeing the drivers for mechanical engineers and consultants' preferences? What is the big influences that you're seeing out there for them?
Well, I'm maybe a little bit out of the market for this group. I deal a lot with federal buildings and data centers. So I think one of the big drivers in current marketplace is cybersecurity, making sure that data it gets back to the legal aspect of it. How far can it go? What are the installing contractors responsible for? I've seen owners requiring insurances. I mean, large insurance policy, millions of dollars that protect them on the cyber side. I think a lot of it's going towards, Internet of Things out there with controllers. But just the protecting the data, there's, you can read every day about something that's been hacked, and it's surprising how many places don't take that into consideration until it's too late. And I think that's big concern in the near future.
And we're going to have a question or two about cyber later on and data. So, Martyr, you want to put up the first poll question that we've got? I think this is a good time. And then as we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead as far as drivers for mechanical engineers and consultants. Let's go. Chris, how about you take that question on?
And the question is more about cybersecurity or data?
No. What are the drivers for mechanical engineers and consultants' preferences? What's the biggest influence that you're seeing? Or do you think-
I think as far as what we're dealing with now, performance is the biggest thing. We want to drive building performance from a consultant and from a design standpoint. And that really comes to the data that is entrained within these systems and how we can utilize that data, pull it out, kind of analyze it and learn from it so that we can make actions to make things operate better.
Okay. Marta, you want to go ahead and close this poll and we'll look at the results a little bit later on. Terry, what do you feel the big drivers for MEPs, consultants, and the big influence or influences today?
I don't know that that could be reduced into a single driver. Again, the complexity of controls today is tenfold what it was 20 years ago or 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. Ed, that's yours and my fault. So how does a consulting firm know that, depending on the size of the firm, right? We have firms that we work with that have complete controls divisions, but that's not the norm. And so the smaller firms have a lot of things to deal with. We've already enumerated a lot of them. Cybersecurity is huge. Our company's SOC 2 compliant. We have people in our firm that's all they deal with. AI's coming, but nobody really knows what to do with it yet. And so I think it's more education and what they're dealing with, and so that they can have a confluence, if you will, of the different disciplines that they're dealing with all the outside pressures that fall on them. So I really can't just name one. We've already enumerated a bunch of them. So
Yeah.
I think that's where we're at.
Okay, cool. We're going to move on to another question and this is a topic that I've been in the industry along with several of our listeners, the panel here for many, many years. And we talk about it and we continue to talk about it. It is open systems. Yes, today it is all about open systems. Do you think the MEPs and or consultants community fully understand open? Jacob, are you back with us? Let's try you on this one first.
Let's see if I'm back. You hear me good?
We can. Oh, welcome back to the real world, friend.
Thank
All
you.
Right.
I think there's a lot of confusion about what open systems are, and I believe it depends on who you're talking to as to what the definition is. So the MEP firms are caught between the owner, they're caught between the manufacturers, so their definition's more confused than everybody else. But there is no such thing as a true open system, and that's a myth.
Yep.
All right, Ed, you want to offer a comment on this?
Yeah, there's open technology and then there's open accessibility, right? My good friend Jack Harmon, member of ASHB for many years out of Richmond, Virginia, once said, the whole idea back then, all we wanted was multiple prices on bid day, right? That was the whole idea to start with BACnet, right? Because they didn't want proprietary systems. So open systems came about because of proprietary systems, and after the first job, you got them forever and ever. So I think that, when you speak open, you have to think it's more than just protocols. It's more than the technology. It's really about accessibility, right? How many people are going to be able to service me after the sale? And that's what's driving it today. And that's where we have to have the conversations. I think some owners really get it because they've been in that issue before. And it's really, the word open is just, you could spend forever. We could spend 5 conferences on that. So, but I do believe it's accessibility to service is really probably what I tell people to think about first, and then worry about what it takes in the spec to make that happen. So,
all right, Chris, why don't you take us out of this particular question? Give us your thoughts on open.
Yeah, EXP has been involved in promoting open systems for, for many years. We've dealt with BACnet and Modbus and LAN, and then all SNMP and all the other open protocols. But I think, as Ed mentioned, it goes beyond the protocol. It goes to how the products are being delivered, how they're installed, how they're serviced, things like that. All those channels need to be open. And I think it's our industry and the people within our industry that cloud that, because it's to their advantage to cloud it. And it has always been that way. The people want to lock a customer up. So however they can do that and get market share is how they're going to do it. And we can always push to try to open systems up, but it's to their advantage to lock it in and to close it or limit the access.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to move on. Thank you. We're going to move on to another question here. And to me, this is one of the most interesting ones today. Is what are the top factors you consider are influencing building automation specifications today? Terry, let's start with you for this one.
Smart. Should have kept me for last on that. Just a little bit. I mean, again, as a consulting engineer, our first responsibilities were meeting a design that met code, international building code, the uniform building codes, the things that drove that. And in the nuances in that is indoor air quality, energy efficiency. You throw them all in a great big basket and you try to make them work together. And then you use the control solutions to do that. I had an associate of mine, somebody you and I both know, Marc, said one time, you can't paint a pig. And so that's the challenge for the MEPs, right? Is to make it all work and then have controls that function together. Kind of going back to open, which is kind of a pernicious lie. And Ed's right. What's integration? What's the serviceability? How do they all work and play together? So that's the challenges. And there's many, many ways to do that. And where do you come from? What's your bias? So yeah, that's loaded.
Yeah. All right. Jacob, how about yourself here? What do you think are influencing the big influencers for building automation specs today?
It's changing rapidly. It used to be that the specs were always based around mechanical controls and what was needed to get the mechanical systems running in a building. We're seeing code changes. The NEC 2026 calls out EMS and PCSs as required on every electrical system. So next year, you're going to start to see a huge influx of electrical systems being part of the building automation system as they do demand response. We've seen plumbing kind of sneak in. It's the gotcha that everybody forgets about. There's a lift station that has to be monitored, or smart sinks or things like that. And that's not in Division 23, so everybody misses it, forgets about it. It's buried somewhere in 13 or some other spec section. So those influences are coming rapidly at building automation systems, and they've got to adapt and expand to be able to grab all of the operational technology in a building nowadays.
Gotcha. So just kind of sum that up. Basically, yeah, building automation has changed, and it's not the one-trick pony anymore. It's all about universality and do much more with the same concept of what building automation is. Troy, how about yourself, especially on the government side? What are you seeing? What do you feel is influencing building automation specs from them? Troy, you muted. Sorry.
Sorry about that. The federal government has their design guides that most agencies go by, and different agencies have different guidelines. Quite honestly, they're usually about 5 years behind all the other technologies out there. But I think especially with COVID and that, indoor air quality, they're spending a lot of time on indoor air quality. You see a lot of places concerned about accessibility. Who has access to it? What level of access do the agencies require? Somewhere in this discussion today, I'm sure we're going to be talking about cloud. How secure is the cloud? A lot of agencies say no. We stay inside the four walls. Nothing leaves inside the four walls. I'm seeing a change in that. I'm seeing a more willingness to go to the cloud, but it's a battle, and it gets down to what does the owner want. At the end of the day, it can be very simple. I've actually seen some pneumatic systems. I've been in the business almost 40 years, and it's going back to the beginning. But that's what they want, so that's what they get.
Good. Marty, want to put up the next poll? And while that, I'm just going to offer a comment.
Marc, apologies for interrupting. Once we leave this poll, we will lose the results. So would you be okay if we were to share the results on this one?
Absolutely. Yeah,
let's do it.
Please show. Absolutely. So what are we looking at here? Division 23, 38%, Dev 25, 15, both 38, other 8. How often do BAS smart building vendor providers call on your firm in person each month? 35%, none. 1 to 3, 58%. 5 or more, 8%. And a few did not answer the question, which is fine. And how often would you like them to call on you in person? Once a month. I think that was clearly sort of the standout there. Once per quarter, 31. Twice per year, 8. And again, what I find interesting is that part of our initial conversation was not, trying to judge that exact time. People want to see MEP consultants, but again, you got to be respectful of their time, when and where. So thank you, Marta. Let's just one last comment, and we're going to move on to another question. Is this one of the things that I see really influencing the BAS specs today is the change, and it's not just technology only. It's also now bringing in the business side. It is both the combination, the convergence of the technology side and the business side, and how all of this plays in the business, whether it be in the operational side or the financial side, and so forth and so on. So I'm seeing that as increasing in conversation. So let's move on. Marty, you want to put up the next poll then as we go to the next question, please? All right. How often do you call on MEP consultants in person? Now we're getting specifically. None, once a year, twice per year, once a quarter, etc. It's similar to that question, but I think that's an important question our listeners really want to know. And then, do you provide specific content areas on your website, especially if you're a provider, for MEP consultants? And the answer, yes or no. Feel free, please respond. And as you are responding to that, the one thing I think here that I want to kind of move to is the general topic of smart buildings, smart buildings. So let's go to Ed. Let's start you on this, because I know you and I always have been talking together in and around this subject. So what are the characteristics and the attributes of a smart building? Has that concept of smart building changed over the years? And if so, how?
Well, it's another one of those loaded questions, Mark. Smart buildings, I think I had PowerPoints from 25 years ago, talking about smart buildings, and first they have to be safe, right? And that was when people were starting to put cameras and cardiac systems and that. They have to be efficient, from an energy standpoint. And to me, the most important, and it's still a problem, is comfort, right? A lot of people figure, if you want to be efficient, you couldn't be comfortable. But the biggest complaint we hear today is not as much about the energy bill; it's about the comfort of the building. So if those are the three that I use first. But as smart building, we really, we have to define it in a lot of different ways. How is it smart electrically? Like we brought up, I think we're starting to see a whole lot more electrical monitoring coming in. Safety, more and more, we're seeing specs that require the BAS to monitor the fire alarm, not to call the fire department, but look, let's follow the health of that fire alarm panel, right? Did it go into trouble? Is somebody really watching it? And there's a lot of things you can do when a fire alarm goes off, like sending emails to the mechanical people to get them back to a remote building to help the firefighters, turn power off and those sort of things. So smart's just constantly changing, and I really do believe that things are getting lumped in every single day. And I think that shows the importance of working closely with the community. We have this concept of constructability in the building industry where, we put this building together as an architect and engineer. Can we really build it? The general contractor. We have to think about that in the smart buildings. It can, what is it going to take as a team to do all this integration and tie every single thing together, including the plumbing? And I don't think we're spending enough time as a group. And that's why meeting face to face, saying, how is this all going to work? Who's going to do what? And how is it going to be commissioned? So it means everybody that's involved in the building has to get together and make sure this building's really going to be smart when it's done. Or is it just going to be convoluted? Is it going to be a lot of silos? I think people think if it's got a lot of siloed systems, it's smart. I'm not convinced that's the case. So.
Oh, please. Interesting. Chris, characteristics and attributes of a smart building today.
Yeah, I think this is a great question. We talk about, being in ASHB. A predecessor of ASHB is CABA, and under the CABA umbrella, I was involved in a push to develop a rating system, and we did that with David Katz. It's called the Building Intelligent Quotient, and this rating system basically breaks down intelligent buildings by different attributes and it ranks it. So if you have an existing building, it ranks it. But then also, if you didn't score well on that, it would actually tell you, hey, you need to investigate it here. You can go to this website or that website and actually learn to develop an intelligent building. And an intelligent building goes far past the mechanical systems. It can go into security, as Ed mentioned, the fire alarm. It can go into elevators, cameras, the metering, the electrical, and all that. So I think the smart building does go very far into different things, and it needs to be pushed within our industry.
Good. All right. Jacob, smart buildings, characteristics, attributes.
I think it's a few different things. We mentioned a little bit about building owners. So they want to see analytics or KPIs off of their building. So they have a view of what a smart building is from that perspective. You've got the guys who work in the building and they want to see tools that enable them to diagnose problems very quickly. All of those meet the definition of a smart building, but it's a totally radically different product that you're delivering or use case of the same tool. So it really depends on who you're talking to as to what you're giving them.
Mm-hmm. Terry, take us home on this one. You might be muted, Terry. We'll come back. All right, this one for all the guests here.
Hey, Mark.
Oh yeah, you're back. All right, thank you. Gotcha.
I want to add one thing. Everybody was spot on. But the one thing I didn't hear is continuous commissioning. Big pushes, code requirements now for that. We used to laugh and say that the smartest the building was the day that you commissioned it and handed the keys over. Unfortunately, it's going downhill after that. So I think that's a big player, especially as these technologies come along.
Awesome. Marta, you want to share the results of the last poll, please? All righty. How often do you call on MEP consultants in person? 5% none, once a year, 5, twice, 14, once a quarter, 33, more than 4 times per year, 44%. Do you provide specific content on your website? 51%. In all honesty, I find that's a shocker for me personally. Anyway, so good results. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Now, these next 2 questions, I'd like the entire panel to be prepared to answer, but you are only allowed to answer one of 3 answers. The answer is yes or no, or I'm going to plead the 5th. All right, yes, no, or I'm going to plead the 5th. So smart buildings, for sure, have been around since the 1980s. In fact, Hartford, Connecticut was the first supposed labeled smart building. Has the industry, we as an industry, the folks who design and deliver smart buildings, have we proven the return on investment? So, Troy, I'm going to start with you and go backwards here as our headshots are there. Yes, no, or I plead the 5th.
Yes.
Okay. Ed.
Yes.
Jacob.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes, but we need to do better.
Okay. No. You went over that answer. All right. You get penalized. It's like Jeopardy. All right. You didn't ask it in the form of a question. Terry.
Yes, but we need to do better.
Oh, okay. All right. And I will answer. I got to throw my answer. Yes, I believe so. Again, another yes, no, or I plead the 5th. So is the value of a building, the physical aspect of that building, impacted by how smart the building is? Terry, let's start with you and go all the way back the other way this time.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Jacob.
Yes.
Troy.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Time to move on to another subject. And Marta, make sure you keep us in check as far as time goes. So the 2 most important letters that we all have heard for the last 2 years, maybe more, whatever, AI. So as AI continues to take center stage in every industry, including ours, what are your thoughts about it as it relates to OT and operating and managing our buildings? Is it here now? Are we ready? What's up? So let's start with Jacob on this one.
It's not here yet. It's coming. There are a few players that are trying to get there, but the technology is not developed enough. It's not deterministic enough for what we need in building systems. The other problem is that AI is very much language oriented, and we as an industry are still very much drawing oriented. So it can't digest the information about a building to be able to give intelligent answers yet. That will change. It will probably change this year, if not early next year. And we will start to see some real usable products in AI. But it's also going to require engineers to change the way they develop drawings, and that's going to create a whole nother industry of retro going back and updating drawings so that they are machine readable so that we can get context about what's happening in a building.
Troy, AI, your
Uh,
perspectives.
I tend to agree with Jacob. I think there is AI currently being used, especially in the cybersecurity part of OT. There is AI being used. I think what Terry mentioned earlier about continuous commissioning, you'll see some AI stuff technologies being used in that right now. I'm not sure that AI will always, excuse me, I'm not sure that you'll see it completely ever take over the industry, because there is so much built systems out there that you're not going to get somebody, robot or anybody, going out there above a ceiling. It's going to be a person. At the end of the day, it's going to have to be a person that pops that ceiling tile. So I think you'll see and it'll have to, because the industry is so short on manpower. I think there'll be some very smart people out there developing product that's going to make our lives a whole lot easier.
All right, same. Ed.
Yeah, I think it's two aspects of it. A lot of people consider AI autonomous buildings, and is a robot going to control my building? We know that's got some issues there. What I think is people can do today are using the tools, right? Even I use those tools. I've been in a jam where I only had my phone, had a consultant that needed a lift station, point list, and I used my Gemini app, and I said, print me out a point list for a lift station and do this, that, and the other. And I checked it out, and actually it was very good. And it got a jam that needed to get some drawings out the door. But so for tools to help you create documents and that sort of thing, some people rely on them too much. You see a lot of things that you can just tell that are being posted on a lot of social media that are just AI stuff. So again, look at it both ways. Tools that can help individuals. I think that's the most important thing we can do now as we're bringing it in to running buildings. I think there's some great promise. I mean, we're using AI to read sequences of operations and produce code. We've got that in pilots, but you got to be worried about it. You still got to go back and check it and make sure it's right. And then also, I think the legal industry is going to get involved in this, right? So we have very big guardrails at our company to make sure how we use AI, and we even have our own private instance of a large language model that we use to make sure that we use really good data there. So I think it's great stuff, but a lot still to be learned.
Terry.
I have to rely back on our own experiences. And so AI is coming. As for us as a company, we're using AI we've adopted it across our entire systems for operational efficiencies within our building and within our design. Have we launched it into the marketplace for building automation and control, smart buildings? No. The two driving reasons for that is, number one, just mentioned, is the liability issue. You make an autonomous car, somebody gets hurt, or worse, who gets sued? And so the entire industry is still struggling with that. The second thing is that can we trust the efficacy of the data? When you got a system that goes out and scrubs the internet, can you trust everything that it's going to drag back and say this is how you run a rooftop unit, or this is how you run occupational efficiency on a hospital, or whatever that may be? And so a box has to be put around that, in my belief, and we're working on that. Our latest product that we just launched less than a couple months ago, Marc, has the Neuron ID chip in it. We're ready, and we're experimenting with it, and we've tried some stuff, yeah, it's coming. And so we're building systems with it at this point. So far as turning it loose on the market and allowing it to do what we think it's going to be, we're a ways off yet.
Okay.
I want to be the last to the party best dressed, not the hit with the tomato.
Good one. Chris, take us home on this question.
Yeah, I think the industry is ready for this. I think the manufacturers and the products show some of this in it, but I think the stumbling point on this is the operators and the contractors. I think they need to be better educated on using this technology, and what they'll end up doing is just basically shutting it off or overriding it, and that can be a big problem if it's supposed to be working the way it should be, but something is overridden, because then the algorithms that are inherent in the product will not operate properly.
All right, let's move on to a topic. And Marta, just let me know when we're getting down to the last couple of minutes.
I think we've got time for one more question, Marc, and then we can get into the Q&A.
Wonderful. All right, so we cannot have this discussion without cybersecurity. So cybersecurity has not always been a concern. Obviously, it is now. We cannot have discussions today without bringing up OT security specifically. What do you believe are the MEP's responsibilities, and what is non-MEP's responsibilities towards cybersecurity? Jacob, let's start with you on that one.
Oh, I love this one.
I know you did.
It's funny to me because MEPs are professional engineers, and they have a responsibility for safety and security of their clients. But they have deflected cybersecurity. They will not update their ethics statement to include it and to acknowledge that they have any responsibility for it. So they make every attempt to avoid responsibility and to try and put it back on the owner. So I think that they should have some responsibility for it. I think ethically they do. And if you put a product out there and you know that it's, you can walk up to it, flip a latch and walk in, I work for a general contractor, and if I don't put a lock on the door, then I'm responsible for anything that's stolen from the inside. Why shouldn't an MEP firm be the same way?
Gotcha. All right, because again, I want to be conscious of time. Troy, quick thoughts on cyber, OT cyber? You might be muted.
I'm sorry about that.
That's right.
I agree with Jacob on that, part of the design, and especially when you're dealing with federal systems, requires that I don't know how many of you are familiar with the RMF procedures, but part of that is design required. And I don't see why that's any different than what it should be in other buildings or other industries. That's part of the designer's responsibility. You can get as simple as a switch. Everybody here knows that there's probably 1 million of those little blue 5-port switches out there. I'm not going to mention the brand that's in a building automation system. They're not cyber secure. You have to put a managed switch there to manage your traffic. If the designer is not designing that, whose responsibility is that? I really think that MEPs need to be better at that.
Ed, you want to talk on this one?
Yeah, as far as R&D goes, it's our biggest line item as a vendor, right? We spend a lot of time doing that, and we have to. We owe it to the community when it comes out there. But I do believe, the federal government has some specifications on cybersecurity, but you don't tend to see them much in commercial specifications at all. So it is a big issue. We're trying to contribute by providing hardening guides for our customers and for the industry to take a look at. Not only do you have the building automation system, but what about if it's running Windows or Linux? What do you do to make sure that things outside of your realm, that they set the windows up right? You can have the best building automation in the world, but if there's a hole in the Windows setup or the Linux setup, then you've got a problem. So I think we all, again, have to contribute to this, and I think there's a lot of work to be done.
Gotcha. Chris?
For sure, the consultant has to have cybersecurity inside their design. But, one of the things that we haven't discussed is, what happens after the design, the installation and the operation of the facility. You need cybersecurity practices and procedures. And that's something outside of typically an engineer's venue. But the engineer should, or the consultant should be pressing the owner to get IT into the OT so that it's maintained over the life of the building.
Gotcha. And then Terry.
Am I muted here? No.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'll give you an analogy. First year engineering, still an intern, hadn't set my exam yet, working for a company, and my boss sent me to a asbestos seminar. I came back. He said, "What's the report?" And I said, "Well, they told us to run away, run away, run away." Jacob, that's not going to fly today, right? Yeah, it's pretty weak. Is there a responsibility? Is there ethics? Oh, that's a deep subject. But we have to address it. Again, like I said, our company's SOC 2, FedRAMP compliant. It's everything that we do today. Ed, you're right. That's all we think about. The engineers need to be doing the same, but all they can do is put an umbrella around what they do, what their design is, operational afterwards. Is there a hole in the operating system? I think, Ed, you pointed that out. It's a deep subject, but it's one we all have to look at.
It is. And I think, again, taking everyone's answers and then we'll open it up, Marta, is, to me, I sum it up, it's a shared responsibility, whether it be on the MEP consultant side. Yes, it's on your side. It is on the building owner and operator side. And when you're talking to that MEP consultant about what you're looking to do, what you're looking to design, they need to bring up that the thing about cybersecurity and so forth. And finally, it is also the vendors, the providers' responsibility in the products and the solutions that they bring to market, et cetera. And when they do find an issue and it happens, be responsible, step up and address it as quickly as possible. So thank you, guys. You want to do some Q&A now, Marta? Do you have any there?
We do. So we have someone, Aubrey Henderson, who has her hand up. Aubrey, if you want to unmute yourself and want to ask your question or comment.
I don't know how that happened. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's all right. We'll remove that. We have Rakesh Tiku. Did you want to unmute yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead and ask your question or comment.
Thank you very much. My name is Rakesh Tiku with a firm called Infield Solutions. The biggest challenge I'm having is that we have a definite gap between expectation of the client, a government that really is not in a position to create legislation or policy that matches what is needed, all in cybersecurity, AI, digital twinning, any of this technology stuff. And then you also have a client that maybe wants this, but doesn't really want to pay for it. So yes, as a vendor, I agree that we have to have a measure of cybersecurity. The challenge has always been who's going to pay for the actual cost to implement what's required.
Yeah, and I think that is an excellent point, and without a doubt, and myself and my colleagues, we have been in this industry a long time, and who's going to pay for it has been one of those founding questions that is all the time. But very good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Any other question, Marta?
David, did you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, thanks. I just want to build on what Chris and the others have said. There are so many non-energy benefits from the mechanical systems, including in Europe. They're looking at better paybacks because of the increase in productivity, the reduction of healthcare, health costs. So, using the 330, 300 kind of idea, the justification for this should be that there are KPIs that can pay for this stuff, but we don't educate the upcoming engineers well enough. I'm teaching at a community college and they're giving me slides from 2008. So I think we need the next generation to learn about it, whether it's BIQ, Spire, Smart Score. It ain't going away, and the next generation wants it. So what are your feelings about that in terms of the next generation?
Does someone on the panel want to offer thought?
I'm excited about the next generation. You know, most of us here on the panel are old, gray-haired, and have seen. But I enjoy. It's exciting to me to work with the next generation of controls people, engineers, because they do look at that stuff. They do take that into consideration. I've often said until they start taking those things into consideration, the health benefits, I was on a project years ago. It was water savings, and they took into consideration how much it would cost to replant if they didn't do X, Y, Z. You know, it was plants out on the grounds. So I think it's exciting to look at that, and hopefully with the younger generation, they'll be able to transform that thinking instead of being a solid dollar number that you only see on construction costs, taking those things into consideration. And I really think you're going to see that over the next, 10, 15 years, that as those younger engineers, owners, everybody gets in a controlling spot, it's going to happen.
So, Marc, if you're okay with this, let me ask one last question, and you guys got 30 seconds each. It's really, it's the sum. Final perspective, looking ahead, what's next in 30 seconds or less? Terry.
What's next? Well, I'm going to kind of pick up where that last question came up. Education. We're all gray-haired, most of us here. Lack of domain knowledge is prominent through our entire industry. Somebody told me one time AI would happen when we can get boiler bob through a wire. We need to educate the youngsters. On the other side, I'm excited about. I wrote an article that was published in Forbes magazine 10 years ago that said, when I grow up, I want to be a millennial. Well, now it's Gen Z or Gen X, whatever the next generation is. It's exciting to see the technology that's coming along, and I think they'll finally pick up on it, and we'll see some exciting times.
All right, Chris, 30 seconds or less.
Yeah, I think Terry is true on that subject. I think our industry is ready, and it's taking on this challenge to take us into the next generation and AI and cybersecurity, and we're making progress. It's just we've got to take our time with it, and we have to do it on a multi-pronged approach to make sure we cover it in a good way.
Jacob.
Disruption. I think with what's happening to the IT industry, you're going to see a lot of people transfer over because they think this is going to be an industry where their skills are relevant and usable. So you're going to have new thought processes, new ways of doing things. So you're going to see a lot of disruption over the next couple of years. And I think that's going to happen on the hardware and the software. And it's going to cause a lot of people to really have to buckle down and figure out what is important to us and what matters.
Ed.
Yeah, I'm really optimistic. There's some fantastic, brilliant young people coming into the industry, and particularly in our company. I think I spent a lot more time the last 2 years mentoring and helping them understand some of the stuff that we learned in the boiler room, but they're aggressive, and they'll push change probably faster than we ever did. So I'm very optimistic.
And Troy.
With what Jacob and Ed both said, I think change is happening. I've seen it over the years, back once again, when I started, the controls person was a smart mechanical person, who learned how to program whatever the language was at the time. And now you don't have a one tool fits all. You got programmers, you got engineers, you got operators. And I think trying to get that back to where it becomes a especially with manpower issues in the industry, it's going to have to become where people can sit down, an ordinary person can sit down and do a lot of what we're doing in the industry. It's not that far. It's really not that far away, I don't think.
All right. Well, first, a round of applause, virtual applause for our panel. And thank you to ASHB, Marta, the ASHB board for allowing us the opportunity to share our thoughts and ideas and comments. And I'm going to turn it back to the ASHB folks. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Marc. Marc, Terry, Chris, Jacob, Ed, Troy, thank you for being part of this engaging discussion. Really appreciate all of your support and enthusiasm on the topic. We do have two more questions in the question and answer box, but Marc, I'm not sure if maybe you or one of the gentlemen on the panel, if maybe we can just type the answer in and answer that for David and for our Petoc. But we'll go ahead and we'll move along. So thank you, gentlemen, for all that, and thank you for everyone who has participated in the Q&A. Moving along, there's a couple things that we just want to get through, a couple of programs that are here at ASHB. Quick overview of the ASHB Smarter Homes and Buildings podcast. We just want to take a quick moment to highlight, basically this is where industry leaders, innovators share practical insights on technology shaping smarter, safer living spaces. If you are interested in being part of this as a host or a guest, please do reach out to myself or anyone on the ASHB team. You do have an email address there, admin@ashb.com, that you can also reach out to. Our podcasts are extremely flexible. We can work with you and your organization. And there's a lot of marketing and promotion that goes along with it. So there's a lot of opportunity to really showcase your organization and really just get that knowledge that you have out there. So please do let us know. Our most recent episode, Harry Kohal of TMA Systems sat down with David Benages, who's the Vice President of Intelligent Water Solutions at Watts Water Technologies. And they explored how greater water visibility is changing facility management, turning water data into strategic assets for commercial buildings. This is just one of many topics that we discuss on this podcast. And if you'd like to access recently recorded episodes, please do visit our website. It's ashb.com/podcast, and you can see those there. They are available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. With that, I will turn it over to Ken Wax to go over some of our other programs here.
Thank you very much, Marta. I'd like to highlight our opportunity for members of the Smart Building Council to develop a white paper. We've had a number of white papers published, as you see on the slide. This is an opportunity for you to do some original work. It doesn't have to be like an IEEE quality paper, but it's think of it more like a trade press article. You can write a series of papers, maybe introducing a new topic, providing in a second paper some technical background, providing some market scoping on a third paper, for example. Papers are typically around 10 pages long. They're very easy reading and informative. We're open to any topic relevant to this committee. And what I will do, along with Marta and others at ASHB, is assemble a team to help you with the paper, but we count on you, the proposer, to take the lead. We also survey papers that are written outside of ASHB through the Publication Review Committee. We have an opportunity for all ASHB members to help us by reviewing papers that are relevant to the home and building space. We have a Publication Review Committee submission form where we ask you for a 100-word summary of the paper for details and keywords about the paper. The keywords are important because we can use them to provide a software search engine to to roam through the thousands of papers we have already reviewed that are in our library. Papers that are current, meaning within 3 years, are limited to viewing by ASHB members. Older papers are available to the public for viewing. And as consideration for your time, we give you a token payment of $25 cash and $25 credit to ASHB Publications and Services. So one other thing I'd like to tell you about is CABA does have a high quality journal called ASHB has a high quality journal. It's available at the website. We've had authors writing very regularly. I've been submitting articles since its predecessor, the CABA journal and iHomes and Buildings, started about 30 years ago. I highly recommend this. Marta is very helpful in taking your raw material and composing it so it looks good on the ASHB website. So please consider these many options for the primary mission of ASHB to provide information about the home and building industry. So to summarize, we offer the opportunity to do original papers through the CABA white papers, original articles through the ASHB journal, and to review articles done by others in the industry through the Publication Review Committee.
Thanks, Ken. That's very good wind up of everything else. I'd like at this time to ask if there's any new business from anybody coming along. If there isn't, then any new keynote ideas or new white paper ideas or new agenda items, you can send them along to Marta or send them along to myself, and they will certainly be looked after. Marta, I guess you've got some announcements of some ongoing projects that we're involved with.
Yes, sir. This is for the upcoming events. ASHB will be taking part. We'll be attending the Light and Building Show in Frankfurt, Germany. That's taking place in March. We have an event that we are sponsoring, CX Energy, and that is in Chicago, April 21st to the 24th. We will be attending ConnectX in Fort Lauderdale. That is May 4th to the 6th. We'll also be present. We'll have a booth at ControlsCon, and that's taking place Denver, May 14th to the 15th. And lastly, RealCom, IBCom, we will be hosting our board meeting there. And of course, we will also have a booth and will be in attendance. So if you are attending any of these events, please reach out to us. We'd love to meet up and have a face-to-face with our members and non-members, of course.
Thanks, Marta. I guess we've come to the end of our meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for May 26th. The exact dates, I guess Marta will be getting out to the with the topic, Connect to What Next? And I want to thank everybody who attended today, and particularly our panel, which I found very enlightening. I will say one comment. Maybe the role of the engineer is beginning to have to change. And maybe we also have to realize that cybersecurity is very much tied up with a thing called conductivity. And so we better start thinking about some of these areas and realize that we have lots of disciplines now in the whole area of how we're going to deliver a smart building. So with this, I thank everybody. We all have a good day, and thank you from everybody at the ASHB and the Smart Building Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.